What's up, everybody? I feel like a lumberjack with this flannel and my beard scruff growing out. I feel like a freaking lumberjack. All right. Today was a unfortunate loss in the market, and we're going to go over it and get to the bottom of it. So, as you guys know, I haven't traded Monday, Tuesday, so I didn't trade anything, didn't like anything. And I feel like today I chased price. So let's talk about it. Let me fix this for y'all. All right. So coming into the day, I was super bearish. We had invalidated this 4-hour gap. You see this leg on the 4-hour to invalidate this bullish 4-hour gap. So I was bearish. Had a one hour gap that we were holding. I'll delete that now so we don't get in the way of it here. I had London and Asia highs above to mark just because, just in case, but was ultimately bullish on the day. So what we ended up doing is off open. So here's the thing. This is previous day London session lows, previous day lows, and then we had this higher time frame 4-hour low that I marked. Right, so 3 really strong draws on liquidity below. So coming into today, I wanted to see a strong move towards this to confirm. So here's what happened. Off market open, we come down, and then we wick back up and close super bullish. So we come all the way down and wick and close up here bullish. So it kind of scares me because I marked out this rejection zone that I wanted to see. So we reject, end up rejecting through here, this candle. So I'm like, okay, I want to see us get a strong close lower, and this wick just really scared me. And so we ended up getting a strong close on this 5-minute. And so I'm thinking, okay, we got that close. I wanted to see now, and here's the thing. So in order for me to have a protected stop to these previous day London lows, and here's the trade sneak peek of what I ended up taking. And so I wanted to see that, but here's the problem. 80-point stop would have been to trade that. Right? And it wouldn't even have been a 1-to-1. So it just wasn't worth it. Would have felt like I was chasing price, right? So then I waited, and we get this displacing candle, right, with a decent stop. Would have been, a huge 1 minute that we invalidated. But here's the thing, another thing. Stop would have had to have been up here, really, and not a strong thing. Not to mention, not a strong, not a 1-to-1. Not to mention that we would have been bottom blasting, right? So I waited. We ended up edging this 5-minute here, or this would have been I would have entered here, would have been perfect, but we edged this 5-minute gap. Got displacement out of it or down out of that. So this would have been a great point here, right? But we just edged that 5-minute gap. So I would have liked this. And so at this point though, we had already taken 2 of the most prominent draws. There was a 4-hour down here that we could have targeted, right? Right around in here, right? This one. So my stops for this trade would have been here, right? And I would have went break even here. So on this trade, I would have got break evened because I would have went break even when price hit this, and the next candle would have stopped me out break even. Okay, but I didn't take that. And here's the thing. At this point, I should have realized, it should have clicked that hey, you are just moving your draw for the day every time we take one, And this should have been my hint that I was chasing price. So anyway, we come down. Right, create a 5-minute gap here. We created this 5-minute gap. And I'm thinking, so we'd already swept out 3 of these major draws. All 3, right? All 3, sorry. Whoops. All 3 of these major draws that I had, marked. So then what do? Well, I go to the 4-hour, and I mark another one down here. This 4-hour gap. Another thing that I'm chasing price. I'm just reaching to get a trade because of how bearish we were moving today, and I haven't traded on Monday and Tuesday, which doesn't matter ultimately. And that's what this is. It's a learning process. So then we come right. We tap this 5-minute gap, and we get a strong rejection out of this 5-minute gap. So here was my ultimate entry to this 4-hour gap. We're coming up. We are chopping. We tap this 5-minute gap here. It was created already. We tapped it and then get a 30 point or 20 something point candle closure to the downside on the 1 minute with a decent stop after we've already, tagged that 5 minute. I'm thinking protected stop, good entry point, 1-to-1 RR, good break even point. I'm not top blasting. I'm not bottom blasting, right? Enter, don't see it take a profit and get stopped out, right? And here's the thing. If you look at the 5-minute, we get a strong wick close on the 5-minute. All these other ones, like that close to these lows, aren't huge wick. Like this, there's not a big wick. And on this one, there's like the wick is like the same size as the candle closure itself. And that was after we had swept out that previous low, that previous draw that I was talking about having on the day. I think it was this one here, and I was gonna mark this out anyway. It was this prominent low right here. Look at this 5-minute close. Was it this? Yeah, I think it was one of these. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that we chased price, and it was hard to even realize that. But like, obviously it's clear now, like when we're making this video, it's like, okay, the first draw got hit, didn't get an entry. Second draw got hit, didn't get an entry. Third draw got hit, didn't get an entry. And we start kind of rejecting. The 5-minute closure is a little more iffy. And it's like, all I was thinking about in my head was my weekly goals of not, revenge trading, not taking a top or bottom blast, not having an unprotected stop. And so while I'm doing this, I'm just completely disregarding that I am like moving my draw every time we, take a draw. And it's like, at some point it's going to slow down. At some point it's going to have a deeper retrace. And it's like, I would have realized that if I wasn't so focused on, all these draws. So yeah, this was my trade here that I ended up taking. On paper, it looks good to me, but like ultimately it doesn't. It's like ultimately we were chasing price today. And so let's talk about a little bit about the emotions I was feeling. So today, am I necessarily mechanically mad with my entry? No. Okay, I'm not. What I'm upset about is that I wasn't able to realize and stop myself from chasing price, right? Once we've confirmed through 3 major draws, it's like, okay, you got to be more cautious. You can't just expect price to go forever. It's like, I've got to quit chasing. I did this last week. We took out London, and I'm looking for a trade to Asia. And it's like, when the draws are super close together, it's like, you're not really going to get confirmation. And if you do, you're not going to have a 1-to-1 because that confirmation is going to be, it's like, I've got to learn how to stack the puzzle and stack the pieces together, right? No, maybe we didn't take a terrible mechanical, entry today, but we chased. And I think, and to be vulnerable, I think that's due to not taking a trade on Monday and Tuesday. It's like, I almost feel it's almost like I'm like trying to, pay myself out for, staying out of the market on Monday and Tuesday. And it's like, Monday and Tuesday are not here. They don't matter. They're gone. It's like, and learning that and being able to take a step farther in my journey. It's just a learning process, really. And like I said, I'm not mad that I ended up taking this loss today, because I'm learning to balance, mechanical things with discretionary things and emotional, things. And it's like, yeah, I made the same mistake 2 weeks in a row chasing price. That's something that I've got to emphasize more going forward. And we're learning and we're growing. And that's the whole point of this. It's like you're not just going to have a perfect run. And so I'm thankful that I'm able to see this, realize that, okay, we're chasing. Now, yeah, maybe the entry wasn't terrible. Maybe, whatever. The R was good and all this. But it's like, okay, we took out 3 of the major draws for the day. It's like you're just reaching and trying to, take from the market instead of letting the market give you, a setup and give you what you are looking for. So that's going to wrap up today's video. I feel like ultimately I'm not completely upset with the trade. I just have got to work on chasing, a trade idea, chasing the trade instead of just letting it come to me, with a strong draw and not after we've taken out 48 of the draws on the day and then trying to get the next one and the next one. And it's like, okay, we took this one, let's get the next one. Let's take this one, let's get the next one without an entry. It's like at some point you got to realize and just think, okay, hey, we've taken these draws. I'm just going to set out, preserve capital, right? And that's just a learning process that we're on. So, yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. I appreciate, whoever watches this and hopefully you guys can learn from this with me. This is a journey and this is just a part of the process. So, yeah, that's going to do it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios.